My topic for Discovery project is Disease in Vegetables. I will interview the teacher Lorena Lastres. The first question is, on your experience, why is it important to study plant diseases?
It's very important to study plant diseases in order to manage or control them. If you don't know how they act, how they reproduce, where they stay, you can't really solve your problems. So you need to know your diseases.
And Honduras, what are the most common diseases that affect farmers' crops?
Normally, the most common diseases are diseases caused by fungi, especially during the rainy season. They're very, very common.
And vegetable diseases, what causes more money loss?
Normally, what causes really a lot of money loss are viruses in crops that are highly susceptible to viral diseases like tomatoes, peppers, cucurbits. And the problem with viruses is that you cannot really control them, you can only prevent them. Once you have a virus infect your plant, you lose. There's not much you can do.
What type of damage does the fungus Phytophthora cause in solanaceous crops?
Basically, you have two types of damages. You have a species Phytophthora that affects roots and tubers, like potatoes, for example, and you have Phytophthora that affects foliage or leaves and that can burn completely your crops. Very highly susceptible crops are tomatoes and potatoes. Within the solanaceous crops, normally pepper is not very affected.
What are the control methods for this disease?
You have a variety of methods. To start with, you have to start with healthy plants or healthy seeds. You can use resistant varieties if they are available. You can use fungicides. You can get rid of alternate hosts. You can rotate crops. Those are more or less the basic things you can do.
How does this disease affect crop production?
You still have a question here. What aspects does the disease affect? Quality, productivity, or things like time of preservation? Normally, it affects all of them. You have poor quality of the fruit, and in the case of tomato, for example, you have poor quality of potatoes. You have less productivity, you lose a lot of production, and you can also have less time of preservation of your product. So it affects these three aspects.
For smallholders, what is your advice for them so that they will obtain more money of their crops?
I've been working with smallholders for a long time, and one of the things I see they do wrong is they do a lot and they do things very carelessly. So it's a lot better to have a crop in a small area really well taken care of instead of having a big area with a lot of mess. That will make a better. You can have in a small area the same or more production than what they usually have in a large area that is managed very poorly. That's my advice.
Taking an example, what disease causes more problems in tomatoes crops?
I would say the most damaging disease is virus caused by whiteflies. It attacks really early, and it can have you lose your whole crop and not get any production at all if you don't know how to do things.
Which is the best control on the basis of your experience, and what could be used in Zamorano?
What I see from all the things I've worked with, insects and diseases, my best way of doing things is doing things in a preventive way, preventing things instead of controlling when I already have things. And how do I prevent? I get rid of alternate hosts, I clean the surroundings, I rotate land, I do things ahead of time instead of having to control what is already present.
What is your advice to start a new crop?
I would say start with clean, healthy seeds, take care of your surroundings, know your diseases and your pests, and try to do things knowing ahead of time what could appear and how you can solve the problem.
And how do farmers have to prepare the land to prevent disease in the future?
I would say, depending on the crop you plant, you would have to know what diseases will attack your crop. How long do the structures that cause the disease, for example, if you have a fungus and you have a certain type of spore, and you need to know how long the spore lives so that you can clean up the land in advance, getting rid of all the sources of inoculum of the fungus, for example, crop residues. You need to get rid of alternate hosts. You need to know what fungicides you can use, what other things can help, for example, having high beds to have good drainage, that prevent the accumulation of water and high humidity that may be good for your disease. Things like that, you have to do things preventing, and you have to prepare the land ahead of time. It's no use to just clean a small piece of land, have a lot of mess and a lot of vegetation around the crop, and also having a poor land labor. You need to do things ahead of time, in advance, and take care of alternate hosts, know a lot of the cycles of your diseases and your pests. That's the way we do integrated pest management now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.